So there's been a big theory going around recently in the Call of Duty Zombies storyline community that basically goes like this. The Richtofen that dies at the end of Blood of the Dead is not the same Richtofen that we've been playing with all the way since Origins. Now, this theory has massed a couple million views on YouTube throughout the different YouTubers that have uploaded, and the first time that I saw it, I was all on board as well. Basically, the way the theory explains it is that the Richtofen that dies at the end of the Blood of the Dead does not have the same exact scar that he has had all the way since Der Eisendrache. Somewhere in between Der Eisendrache and Origins, he actually got a scar on his face that basically stayed with him the entirety of Black Ops 3. Basically, every single cutscene, Richtofen had this scar on his face that basically was used for every single cutscene, and then just somehow randomly after Revelations, the beginning of Black Ops 4, he no longer has the scar. It's an imposter Richtofen. It's not even the real Richtofen anymore. This is one that we have not been playing with. This is not the one that we had the emotional connection to. It was all just a bait and switch by Treyarch. Now, the important part about this is that you guys understand the theory itself on why the Richtofen that we know and love is not dead. I think you guys need to see the pictures, so we're going to go through it right now, show you guys pictures of every single cutscene that I can since Origins. Now, basically, what this theory states is that Richtofen got the scar sometime in between the Giant and Der Eisendrache. As you can see, here's the Giant. He does not have the scar. This is the same Richtofen that we played all the way through, and he does not have the scar. So here's the first shot of him with that scar in Der Eisendrache cutscene. As you can see, he has the scar. It is there, right there on his right cheek, that little blood-stained scar there, and he has the scar from then on out. So obviously, there's no shots of him in Zetsubo no Shima. There's no close-up shots of him, but here he is in Gorod Krovi once again with the scar. We can assume he obviously still had the scar. You can actually see it in game in Zetsubo no Shima. So here's the shot of him on Gorod Krovi with the scar. Here's the shot of him in Revelations with the scar. As you can see, he still has that scar on that right cheek. It is in the exact same spot. But then whenever we get to Blood of the Dead, he is missing that scar once again. So basically, the theory says that this Richtofen that we're seeing right here, actually both of the Richtofens that we see in the Blood of the Dead cutscene, do not have the scar, and therefore the Richtofen that we have in Blood of the Dead is not the same Richtofen whatsoever. So the first time I heard this, I was 1000% in, man. I was so happy. I was like, yes, Richtofen is not dead. He didn't have the scar. There's no way he would have let himself die like that. The Richtofen that we know and love since the Giant is no longer dead. Even since Origins, it's the same one since Origins. He's not dead. He's still out there somewhere. And I was just so pumped, man. But really, what we were experiencing there is just like the Easter egg steps, the shock and denial, because it turns out this entire theory is BS. Basically, because Treyarch has just used two different models for Richtofen. That is the same version of Richtofen, pretty much interchangeably since Origins. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that means and why this theory is BS right now. Now, before we go any further, I've got to give a huge shout out to Nixaru's channel. He's a storyline god. His link is going to be down below in the description. He's basically the one who figured out just how inconsistent these scars are and how little they can actually be trusted for telling us which version of Richtofen we have, because it actually dates back previous to the Giant. I told you guys the Giant was the first time he didn't have the scar, and basically he didn't have the scar, and then he had it from the Giant on. Basically, Nixaru basically figured out that that's not true, and I'm gonna show you guys what that means right now, but big shout out to Nixaru. Channel link is down below. So here he is again. This is Richtofen in the Giant, and we know that every single cutscene after this, he has the scar. So basically, you have to say, in order for this theory to work 100%, that Richtofen got the scar somewhere in between the Giant and Der Eisendrache, right? That's basically how this works. If this is the same Richtofen that we played through the entire time, he has to get the scar somewhere in between there, because there is no way he would not have the scar in the Giant if he got it before. The problem is, right when you load in on the Giant and you actually get in game, you notice that Richtofen just basically by magic has the scar, right? He has the scar basically the second he loads into the Giant, which you could say, oh, maybe he got the scar during the cutscene or somewhere in between the cutscene and loading in, and that would be fine, right? I would still believe this theory if that was the only piece of proof that he just somehow magically had the scar and it wasn't Treyarch just messing up with putting different models and using different models for Richtofen. The problem is that in Origins, Richtofen actually has the scar. That is the big bombshell that Nixaru figured out. That is the thing that basically destroys this entire theory, is that if you go up into the Origins cutscene, you can actually notice that Richtofen has the scar in this cutscene. So basically, the problem with the scar, the big smoking gun with the scar itself, is that in every single time Treyarch uses Richtofen's model, they basically just have a couple different models for Richtofen, maybe with different amounts of bloodiness on his clothes, with maybe different amounts of like battle scars and stuff like that. They basically use all of those different models, pretty much interchangeably and basically just say, hey, let's just use this really nice looking version of Richtofen where he's got like a really nice facial animations and stuff like that. Let's use that for the cutscene, and then whenever we get in game, we're actually going to use the more battle scarred version, so it kind of stands out more in game, and you can kind of tell them apart in game. Basically, there's no storyline significance whatsoever to the scar, because in order for there to have to be storyline significance, you would have to say that Treyarch is constantly taking out Richtofen and replacing him with imposters in between each map. They're replacing Richtofen with imposters in the Giant, they're replacing him in Blood of the Dead, they're replacing him in Origins, and basically back and forth, the same Richtofen is just not even the same Richtofen at all. In order to make the theory work that Blood of the Dead, Richtofen does not actually die, you would basically have to destroy the entire storyline, everything as we know, and say that none of this even matters because there's just another Richtofen switching out for him constantly without anyone else noticing, which in my opinion is such a big stretch, it would never happen. Now, I know all you guys are probably mad at me right now for ruining your hopes and dreams. I'm not ruling out that Richtofen can't be revived some way by something with a dark mechanism that we don't know a lot about, something with opening back up the dimension, something with Victus. Victus is all dead. Maybe they're not going to actually be dead either. I'm not sure. There's a lot that could possibly go into this, but I'm going to have to put the final nail on the coffin. I'm going to have to show you guys for sure that the scar has no significance in this map, and all it was is that Treyarch just used like a higher quality Richtofen model for the Giant cutscenes and for the Blood of the Dead cutscenes. It has nothing to do with whether or not the scar is there or not. This is the final proof, man, and I'm really sorry to crush all your hopes and dreams, but it has to be done. Let's go. So here I am in a theater mode recording of the game. As you can see, this is Richtofen, basically just playing the game, just all great, all dandy as normal. I'm gonna get up here in the light. I'm gonna go into third person and slowly zoom in on his face here. As you can see, Richtofen in the actual game has the scar, man. And I'm really sorry to finally rule out this theory, but the same scar that we've been talking about this entire time is actually on his character model in the game all the way through until when he gets into Dark Mechanism. The only time that we don't actually see the scar is in the pre-rendered cutscenes. And as we kind of found out last night, me and Lex did the 9 Easter egg, and we basically went all the way through. We had the face paints on, the little face paint mod that I'm sure you guys have seen. Basically, there's a customization thing. You can mod your character with a face paint. Basically, it resets the face paint model and puts a different character model on all of the characters for the cutscene, and that's how all of Black Ops 4 works. So basically, you could even have a green face paint or whatever of the Halloween face paints. You could put it on Richtofen, and that would not show up in the cutscene because the cutscenes themselves use a different character model than the one in game. So basically, that is the only reason why this scar was ever a thing, is because they use a different character model for the cutscenes compared to the actual gameplay. So Richtofen having the scar in Blood of the Dead. This is Blood of the Dead, just so you guys are aware. Basically, just 100% confirms that they use a higher quality model. Treyarch just didn't think about the scar. If you think about it, it's a studio of a couple hundred people compared to millions of eyes scrutinizing every little twitch thing. As you can see, his face is way more bloody just in general. This is just a bloodier version of Richtofen that they use for the in-game rather than the cutscenes. And that basically is the final nail in the coffin on that theory. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm really sorry to here's another shot just in case you didn't believe me here. I'm really sorry to crush all your hopes and dreams. Once again, I'm not saying that Richtofen can't be resuscitated, can't be revived in some kind of way. All I am saying is that the scar has nothing to do with it. It has been inconsistent since Origins, and basically has nothing to do with which kind of Richtofen we're looking at. And there's no way to signify that it was a different Richtofen that actually died. That being said, guys, I'm so sorry. Once again, I feel really bad just pooping on the theory that it could still be alive. He is dead for right now, and he may never come back. He probably won't come back, and that's probably going to be that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I will see you all in the next video. Peace out. Adios. Goodbye. Have a great rest of your day. And I'm sorry.